These are all decisions that matter. Tactical effects and strategic effects and emotional effects. Okay, kids, today's topic is bankroll.
Oh, really? Okay.
You call that a bankroll? Bankroll. So it is a mental game issue.
It is.
It isn't just a thing to like think about or not think about. It affects directly how we play, how we feel, and it's one of the most underrated topics. Not only does it have a big effect on us, but it's controllable. You know, we can't control the cards. We can't control our opponents. We can control how much money we have with us.
Yeah,
to some extent.
But no, I totally agree. And bankroll is huge, and it has direct tactical effects and strategic effects and emotional effects. Yeah. It plays all over the game with us.
It's huge. So let's define bankroll. What is a poker bankroll?
Well, I think there's two different definitions, and you and I come from very different places in the poker world. Yeah. So why don't you give me your definition, I'll give you mine, and it'll be very interesting.
Okay. I'm going to give you the definition that I put in my book, Elements of Poker. Your bankroll is an imaginary wall between some of your money and the rest of it.
Okay.
Okay. It's your poker bankroll.
Right.
It's completely made up. Mm-hmm. So if your net worth is $50,000 and you tell yourself, okay, I've got my $1,200 is my poker bankroll. Mm-hmm. That is a little device that you came up with to manage your life. It's very useful and important, but the key thing to remember is that if you lose all $1,200, are you going to quit playing poker forever? Right. So that's one way of looking at the definition of bankroll. But I've got another step with it and broken down in that we actually have 4 different bankrolls that we use and that we manage. Okay. So I'm going to run these by you. You can tell me how they fit into your life. So when Lee was talking about how we come from different lives, what he meant by that was that Lee has basically had a job up until now. Yeah. Call me the working man. Yeah, so we can talk about this from our own experiences and cover basically every type of poker player, which is there's 2 types, the ones with jobs, the ones without, and how bankroll affects all that. Right. But I've found it very useful to think of all of us as having 4 different bankrolls, okay? And then you think of this partition idea. All you're doing is partitioning all these chunks of money up. And normally we just do that how it goes naturally. What I'm going to propose is that you start doing this with an idea of how can I partition my money in a way that makes me the most money, that makes me play the best?
Sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So 4 bankrolls. One is net worth. There's our total net worth. That's one bankroll. Right. Second bankroll is the poker bankroll. If you do separate some off of your net worth, then you call that my poker bankroll, whether it's in a checking account or in a box at home, that's your poker bankroll. Third bankroll and the fourth bankroll get into the real tactical aspects of using your money, and that is what I call your pocket bankroll, which is the amount of money you either have in your pocket while you're playing live cash game or the amount of money you have available to you if you're playing online. It's basically the total amount of money that you have available to you during that session, okay? And this is where stop losses come in, all kinds of things, right? And then the fourth bankroll is what I call your table bankroll, which is the amount you actually choose to put on the table. Right. Now, the benefit of thinking of bankrolls this way is, like I said before, to think of these as poker decisions. It's no different than whether to check the turn. It's just one more decision that you make in your life.
What a great way to think of it.
Yeah, it's an important decision that you make over and over and over. Seat selection, how much to put on the table, whether I should open under the gun with ace jack. These are all decisions that matter, that affect your net worth and your bankroll and everything. So start thinking about how much you have in your pocket and how much you put on the table as recurring decisions that are just like all your other poker decisions.
Right.
So what do you do?
I've had different ways of approaching it over the years, but as we said before, I've always had a job. So there's never been this sense that the poker bankroll had to support my rent and food habits.
Oh, so we call that a non-depleting bankroll.
Yeah.
A non-depleting bank. It's not being depleted by food and rent.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Back in the old days, I would take a certain amount of money out of my regular day-to-day world, and I would say, okay, I'm going to take this amount of money, and I'm going to go play poker with it.
Right.
And if I won, I would sort of put it all back into my day-to-day money. And if I lost, then I would not have that money in my day-to-day money.
Right.
And then at some point, 3 days or a week or 3 weeks later, I would say, okay, now I'm willing to take some more money and go and do it. At some point, I decided it was important enough for record-keeping purposes and for just kind of clarity purposes to carve out a chunk of money. Yeah,
right.
But I basically got a specific checking account. And I said, okay, this is the poker checking account.
Nice.
All right. And I would just say that all poker funds go in and out of that checking account. And one thing that was very valuable about that is that it gave me a level of accountability. So like if that went to zero, I would have to rethink the situation, right? It's like I couldn't maintain some kind of narrative that I was a winning poker player.
Yep.
If I just busted this relatively meaningful sum of money.
Right. So let's say somebody goes to play 1-2 no limit and the buy-in's 200 and they've got their 600. Right. So they lose a buy-in, they lose another buy-in, they've got their last buy-in on the table, and now they're down to 140, and a situation comes up where the correct play is to shove.
Right.
But if they shove and lose, they got to go home, but they don't want to go home. And I've been in this a million times, and this is where having not enough money on the table.
I've been there too, just so we all know.
Everyone.
We've all been there,
Yeah, and this is, besides being a sick feeling, it's just not profitable. And it's one of these things that is controllable. And so, now, there might be discipline issues for any of us. We're bumping up against that kind of stuff, tilt and being stuck and steaming and all that. But let's just say that was out of it. Let's say we were able to just make the right play all the time. Right. With your bankroll, my suggestion would be to never, ever, ever have your last money on the table. And since I started doing that about 20 years ago, I mean, that made a huge difference. If you're a serious amateur and you really are looking to beat this game, then my recommendation is to start treating your money like a professional would and quit patsying around. And even if you have to borrow the money, I know this sounds crazy, but if you really want to play your best all the time, get $5,000 and put it in a cash box at home. This is one of the most useful pieces of advice I've given to my clients who have done this. This isn't for everyone, but for the people for whom this works for, it's huge. And that is, you just keep a cash box at home that's way bigger. The number I tell people is take your typical loss and multiply times 10. So if your typical loss is 200, then get 2,000 and put it in a box.
Right.
And try that for a month. You go out and you win $80. You come home, you throw it in the box. You go out, you lose 280. Whatever, you got thousands sitting there, right? And you do that over and over, and then you get out of the routine of ever being at the table worried about running out of money.
Right. So to that point, how much do you take to the casino? Because I think that's a very crucial concept, and there's two opposing motivations here.
Right.
One, I do play better if I know that, if I bust this stack, I just reach in my pocket and pull out 500 more or whatever the number is and buy back in, right? And that's really healthy because I really do think it makes you make the best possible decisions. Conversely, if you're the sort of person who could just completely tilt off $5,000 in a 2-5 game, then you probably don't want to take $5,000 down to the casino. Right.
Well, this goes into a topic which is surely going to be another video, which is stop losses in general.
Right.
So anyone who is in need of stop losses to protect against demolition tilt should absolutely...
demolition tilt.
Yes. Who does a bad thing?
For me, it's about 5 buy-ins.
Do you ever go to that 5th buy-in?
I don't ever remember getting that 5th buy-in out on the table.
Yeah. Well, here's another little side note, but this is because I'm perfectly happy with short sessions now. But I am never going to lose. I mean, as long as I'm playing just locally like I do, I am never going to lose 3 buy-ins in one session. I just quit after 2.
Really?
Yeah. I just don't even want to play anymore. This
game sucks.
Okay, well, let's talk about table bankroll.
Okay.
You know, how much to put on the table. Let's assume that you aren't going to tilt and you've got unlimited money. So this is another one of those partition decisions.
Right.
How much to put on the table.
Right.
You know, do you have a general scheme on that? Or?
In a game where I feel comfortable, I know the lineup, or I feel comfortable against the lineup, I will put probably the table max or close to it. If it's a 1,000 cap 2-5 game, I might come in for $700 or $800.
Right.
Just to kind of figure out who's in charge of the table, and maybe I don't have a perfect seat yet, and I've got the $3,000 stack on my left, and so I just
good.
I don't need to get all the money on the table immediately.
Right. Well, I'm strongly in favor of that, and I think there's a difference between 1-2 and 2-5 and how this goes. At 1-2 and 1-3, I think buying in for the maximum is a good idea. This has to do with stack sizes alone, which is that the ratio of bring-ins is so different.
Yes.
So people will open for 5x, 7x, 10x routinely at 1-2 and 1-3.
That's true.
So you need that 200 or 300 to have a little post-flop power. At 2-5 and 5-10, I agree with everything Lee said. If you already know the casino, you know the situation and everything, and you know you've got your edge established before you even sit down, buying in for the maximum, say 1,000 at 2-5, is fine. Like if I'm going to Vegas to play 5-10, it's just the opposite of that. I don't know the people, I don't know the situation, I don't know who's playing well and who's not. So I never buy in for the maximum. Or even, let's say 2-5 in Vegas with a $1,000 cap. Sometimes I'll buy in for as little as 200. I'm really just casing the game. Right. And with 200, it's very easy to play a profitable style in that game, short stacking. And then there's a little side thing, but it also sends a misdirection signal. They look at me, old tight white guy, buying in for 200. And then I look around and get a feel for the game. Seat 2 is loose, seat 5 is loose. They both have 1,000. I add on to 1,000, and now I play a completely different style of game, and I know where the weak spots are.
Yes.
So I think at 2-5 and 5-10, buying in for less than the table maximum while you're sizing up the game for a couple rounds is very often a good way to go.
Totally agree. 100%.
All right, let's sum up the useful bits.
So we've got 4 bankrolls.
4 bankrolls. We got table bankroll.
Right, and that's what you're putting on the table. And I think our general idea is that when you're new to the game, fresh to the game, don't know the opponents, it's fine to buy in short. Get yourself comfortable before you put more money on the table.
Yep.
Then you have your pocket bankroll.
How much to have available while you're playing? If you need stop losses to protect yourself from hurting yourself, that's fine. If you don't need that, then our recommendation is to never have your last money on the table.
Right. The third one is your poker bankroll. That may be something that you set aside in a cash box at home. It may be a checking account you have.
The recommendation here is to get as much as you can possibly get your hands on and have it there, have it available to you. Right. Keep your poker bankroll fat.
And the final one is net worth. And
net worth, I don't think we can help you that. Oh, we can.
We can.
If you just do everything we're telling you, you're going to get rich.
You'll get rich, and then you'll be on your way. Please be sure to leave a comment. We love comments, and we really do.
And requests for
topics.
And what we really like is seeing our subscription numbers.
Yeah, hit the sub button down there, please, and we'd love to know that you're on board.